Assemblyman Harvey Weisenberg has served as the New York State Assemblyman for Long Island's 20th District since 1989. He has been a tireless advocate for people with disabilities and has been the motivating force behind groundbreaking legislation such as Jonathan's Law and Leandra's Law. In April 2014, the Assemblyman announced that he would not seek re-election. Host interviewer Charles A. Archer interviewed Assemblyman Weisenberg recently at the Assemblyman's office in Long Beach, New York.
You talk about politics, when you look at the person that might replace you, or you look at all the new people who are coming into politics, what is advice that you would give someone who is seeking office, someone who's becoming an assemblyman or a senator, about what they should think about and how they should process their responsibility?
Candidate, the person who's going to take this office, has to focus on what's your purpose. I mean, most people who have ambition, political ambition, and this is the political process in this country, you're saying, I'm going to go here, and then my next step will be a higher step, and the next step is going to be a higher step. So you're going to do whatever is right for politics. Well, that's not your job. What you're supposed to do, and what I have been taught by my family and God's will, I do believe He set me on a mission, that I was here to meet the needs of the people. Those are the most important aspects, the people, of what your job is. Not because it's good politically, but because it's good for the people. And forget about the political parties. They're different philosophies, fine. I mean, the tax and spend liberal Democrats and the conservative right wing, the Republicans. Hey, listen, if you don't get together, nothing happens.
But most recently, you were able to get a cost of living adjustment for the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities, particularly the direct care workers. Tell me a little bit about how that happened.
This year, I went to the speaker. I said, hey, the governor said he's not going to do a cost of living. It's not in the budget. So I went to my members, Democrat and Republican. In 2 hours, I had 2/3 of the assembly sign a letter. Speaker, we want this done. Democrat and Republican. I said to Shelley, this is my job, this is my mission, this is what's right, and I know I can count on you to sit at that table when the big three are there to be our advocate. Shelley, the speaker, is the voice of the majority of my assembly. We have 108 Democrats there, and he speaks for them, whatever the majority is. Now, Western New York has their issues, New York City has their issues, and Long Island has their issues. To have that leadership, to be able to have their confidence, this diverse group, Shelley did what he had to do, and he put it on the table.
2 quick questions. One, we look at the Office of People with Disabilities, and we look at the State Education Department.
Perfect.
Tell me how they could possibly work better together, because obviously there are misdiagnosis or non-diagnosis of children in special education that need DD services, and vice versa. How can those 2 state agencies become better collaborators?
State education is probably the worst aspect of our needs in Albany. They have to understand that mental health and education work together. Let's talk about the front door policy. I had 13 parents from all over Long Island here. I took them for lunch, and I sat down and I listened, and my heart broke, because if you have a child that is aging out, he's in a school-sponsored program. He's getting services, resource services, activities, a place to go, a parent. Now, these are kids that are 21, or they're getting out of school, and what they call aging out. And big, strong, one woman said to me, they send my kid home, I can't handle him. And if they send my kid home, I'll put my head in the oven. That's what she said, because she can't handle them. So what happened? Well, he's in a facility that's good and working well. Why don't we just move that facility to the next age group and let them have that? No, we're cutting off the funding. Now we have, on Long Island, ready? We have 400 kids aging out. We have 40 slots. And they're saying, now, well, if it's PWD, I will send you a voucher, find a place for your kid. Can't happen, won't happen. So we have to make education law, mental health law, they got to understand that they have to work together. Communications in Albany are devastating, really poor, because each one wants to be right. And meanwhile, look at the people that are suffering.
But equally, when we think about not just the aging out and families who, or parents who are aging and children who are aging, Talk a little bit about the lack of residential opportunities for those individuals to live in communities like Long Beach, like Brooklyn, like Queens.
We were at the CP Center in Albany. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yes,
it's
I
not
am.
the CP Center any longer. But I was there, and there were hundreds of people there. And I spoke on Long Island. It was all at Eastern Long Island. I said to Ellen, they want me to go out and speak over there. How many people are going to be? People with families with disabilities. So I went out there were 800 people. 800. But one family in particular talked to me about medically fragile children. Children that need 24 hours skilled nursing care. He told me about his daughter, Angela. And then for years he's been trying to get a facility in New York State where these children would be cared for. But they sent them out of state. So I was up there after speaking to this young man, and I said, I'm gonna do something about this. So George Pataki was standing alongside of me, my wife Ellen, and I said, and the great state of New York exports our handicapped children. We send our children with disabilities, we send them away. We can't take care of our own children. The governor started to pull on me. What are you doing? And I said, I'm making you aware. The next day I was in the governor's office, and he gave me a commitment to get funding for Angela's house. Now, I want to say this. I want to tell you this story because it was very meaningful. It's the first house, but now we have 3.
Right.
For medically fragile children, 24-hour skilled nursing care. Bob Howard-Castro and his wife and family got the phone call. Your daughter is so. He got up there, his daughter passed. So we ended up getting Angela's house. It's a group home. It was in East Moriches. And, group homes, well, we don't want those people here. We don't like their staff. We don't like those people. Anyway, this beautiful home was built out there. And hundreds of people were there to welcome these kids. And when we were there, we cut the ribbon. And Bob Podcaster said, well, wait a minute. And he took a bag, and he went and he dropped dirt in front of the door. I said, what are you doing? He said, Angela never found a home, but now she's home. This is Angela's home. I choked up, but so did everybody else. And I'm just saying, we set up a motto for the rest of the country. It was a group home called, for medically fragile children, Angela's House. We now have our 3rd one. The fact is, not in the history of the state of New York has anybody accomplished what we just did. We restored the $90 million into the budget. How did I do that?
Thank you very much for that. Thank you
How did
very
I do
much.
that? Because, what's interesting, I made a speech on the floor that went on YouTube.
Right.
I didn't realize that they tape everything and I got thousands of emails from all over the country. I said, what is this? Anybody called me, I would call them or write a thank you note.
Right.
But it became enormous. But the thank yous that we received were the voice of the people. How I got this done is that I went to every Democrat and every Republican in the Assembly and the Senate, and I said, as a parent of a special child, these consequences will be devastating to the quality of life and the health and safety of us kids. And we voted, everybody voted for it. And of course, the governor signed the bill. Hey, listen, if you don't get together, nothing happens. The success that we had is people working together. All you have to do is bring them together and touch their conscience. What is best for the people? And then you have success. And that's why I really respect and admire Speaker Silver. Because let me tell you about the $90 million. It's worth hearing. A hostile amendment in the Assembly by the Republican minority says they were going to put in the $90 million. That was my bill. And if that happens, the Senate was out of town. They're gone on the budget night. That means the governor wouldn't have his budget on time, which would be a terrible thing.
Right.
Because in history, we don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
And the speaker said to me, if you speak on this hostile amendment, we won't have a budget. And Shelley said to me, is that what you want to do? I said, no, all I want is the $90 million back. And I said to him, do me a favor. All I'm asking is for your support and let me be the first speaker. And at that time, I made my speech.
Right.
And whatever happened after that was that we were successful. My wife, Ellen, Ricky, our special child, and myself on the beach in Long Beach, because we have concerts here. And it's amazing because Long Beach is probably the most handicap accessible city I would say in the stadium. Every curb has a curb cut. We have modified ramps to go up the beach. We have surf chairs where we take kids into the water, families if they're in a wheelchair.
Wow.
You transfer them and they can spend the day on the beach. And what is so wonderful is that the people would sit and watch Ricky rock when the music played. And they saw his smile. And everybody, and I said, you see, that's what this is all about. That's why communities working together acknowledges the needs and provides the resources that we have a quality of life for all children and all people, our elderly, our special needs people. That's what life is all about.
It's a great photo.
And that's why we love our city so much.